Namaste and hi friends, it's Parvati here with Visionary Veda, bringing you your Vedic Astrology report for this solar eclipse happening on October 14th, 2023. In this report, I'm going to go over the energies at play for this very powerful eclipse, as well as speak about the last few days here of Pitru Paksha, which is going to end on the day of the solar eclipse. And then after the solar eclipse, we have the 9 nights celebrating the great mother goddess known as Navaratri. This is a celebration that takes place for 9 nights, honoring the victory of the mother goddess over the evil asuras. So without further ado, let's get started. Once again, I'm still holding my phone, so my apologies if it's a little bit shaky, but let's move forward. All right, so this solar eclipse is a very interesting eclipse. It is not a total eclipse. It is an annular eclipse. So the moon is still going to block out the rays of the sun, but it's not going to completely cover the sun. So we're going to get what's known as the ring of fire. Now, it is a Ketu eclipse. And what's interesting about this eclipse is that Ketu is still in the last degrees or 30 degrees of Libra. So it's in a very pivotal point, but it's not in Virgo quite yet. However, the sun and the moon and Mercury are all in Sidereal Virgo. Mercury will be part of this eclipse. It is exalted in Sidereal Virgo, but it's combust during this eclipse. So all the significations of Mars, it has moved away from Ketu, but it's still close enough. It's moved nakshatras. It's no longer in Chitra, where this eclipse is going to happen. Mars is actually moved to Swati Nakshatra, which is lorded by Rahu. And Ketu, Sun, Moon, as well as Mercury are all going to be in Chitra Nakshatra, which is lorded over by Mars. So Mars is playing a very strong role in this eclipse. We also have Venus in Leo, and we have Saturn still retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Now, Saturn is casting its 10th aspect to the sign of Scorpio, which is lorded over by Mars and Ketu. It's casting its 7th aspect to Leo, where Venus sits, and it's casting its 3rd aspect to Aries, where we have a retrograde Jupiter as well as very powerful Rahu sitting in the Gandanta point, or the point that unfolds karmic events. So this is why this eclipse is so powerful, because all of the planets are having their say, even though there's no direct aspect onto the sign of Virgo. So, but through the nakshatras, through the aspects, through the significations, Sun rules Leo, Mars rules Aries. Through all of this, Ketu rules, Scorpio, and as well as Pisces. Through all of this, the planets are still having their say and lending their energies. The most important thing to focus on for this eclipse are the significations of this nakshatra or fixed star of Chitra, known as Spica. Its significance is one who gains merit. Now, this is very positive. Gaining merit through one's deeds. Its celestial deity is Vishvakarma, who is the great cosmic architect, the great celestial architect. It also shows the painting or the creation of something beautiful or pretty pictures. It gives us the energy to be able to put our money where our mouth is and actually change and recreate our realities in a new way, reflecting merit, reflecting beauty. It's a star of opportunity. So it's a great opportunity in which we can usher in change. Now, the sign of Virgo and sign of Libra are both going to be involved in this eclipse. The end of Virgo, the very, very last degree of Libra. Libra is diplomacy. Libra is other people. Libra is the marketplace. So these energies are going to be eclipsed. Virgo is the earth herself. Virgo is purity. Virgo is innocence. Virgo is fertility. Virgo is the reaping of the harvest. We reap what we sow. What are we reaping? All of these significations are going to be eclipsed. Then, of course, the sun is going to be eclipsed. The sun is our leadership, our authority. And there's no doubt that we need some enlightened leadership again on this planet. We need leaders who put people above profit, who put the well-being of those who they are governing over their egos, over their anger, over whatever they want to accomplish through these means of war and bloodshed, and have a more enlightened way of solving our issues and leading the people forth into a place of true security and the end of these barbaric threats and this horrible war. I'm so sorry that this is happening. And I know so many people out there feel the same. And although I'm not there in the war zones, I do feel that we are one humanity. We are one people at our essence. And nobody wants to live through this again and again and again. So this is a very powerful eclipse. The Pitru Paksha also ties into it, and I'll get to that in a second. But one of the things I wanted to share with you is what not to do during this eclipse. During this eclipse, according to the Vedas, it is very important to not go outside, not look at the eclipse, not expose yourself to the elements of the eclipse. The eclipse is going directly across the United States of America, through Oregon, down through Texas, and then hitting the Caribbean of Mexico and going further south to the rest of Central America and South America. The next solar eclipse that we're going to have in April also cuts through America. So it's a big X going through the United States. And the next eclipse is going to go through Mexico and into Texas and cut through the East Coast. So X marks the spot, and I'll talk more about that as the time gets closer. But just some tips for this eclipse. It's important to not eat anything, not drink anything, not take anything into your bodies during this eclipse, because it's a very powerful and transformative energy. It can bring things into fruition. It could put things into motion of energies that we are not expecting. So it's best time to do any kind of prayer, any kind of meditation, any kind of group circle of high spiritual intention, to pray for peace, to pray for peaceful transformation, or to strengthen our spiritual practices. Any spiritual work done during the time of the eclipse will be magnified 1,000-fold. So try not to take anything in. Try not to watch anything that's going to disturb the mind. Try not to get into arguments with people. Try to go as inward as possible, or gather with like-minded individuals in prayer and meditation. Now, after the eclipse passes, the 9 nights of the goddess will start. Pitru Paksha will officially end. But it is recommended to take a shower for purification after the eclipse, shower or a bath, or dip in a body of water. And then prepare fresh foods so that you take in clean energy. It's basically a great opportunity to start again, to make your deepest intentions. Now, Pitru Paksha ends. Pitru means forefathers, and Paksha literally means fortnight. It ends on the day of the eclipse, the 15 days finish. And then when the moon starts its waxing phase, or its first phase, then the 9 nights of the Great Mother Goddess start. So there's still time between now and when the moon starts to wax again to honor our ancestors and thank them for the life that we have, but also to feed them and let them know that they can be in peace, that we are happy, that they can rest. Because otherwise, we're all tied in this great cosmic web with one another throughout our ancestry and with each other in the present day. And a lot of that generational karma, those generational traumas which come through our lineages, can be healed during these 2 weeks that have almost passed of Pitru Paksha. We want our ancestors to know that we're all right and that they're all right and that they are well fed, well loved, and indebted to, but that they can rest so that we no longer have to subconsciously feel like we are carrying out the same stories generation after generation after generation. This is very important to be able to connect with the ancestors. Even though you might not know who they are, you can still do a small ritual, excuse me, within yourself to thank them, and especially to let them know that they can let go and that we are in good hands and that we can change things for the better. We can bring in more light. The light will be obscured, obviously, at this eclipse. So it's a good idea to generate our own light, either lighting diyas or candles, or doing fire pujas or rituals during this time, or simply expanding your own inner light. It doesn't have to be that complicated. It's your intention that matters the most. So after Pitru Paksha, because we want to free ourselves, we want to free the ancestors also from their suffering, but we want to free ourselves in the now to be able to act in a different way and change the way we go about doing things so that they bring about less harm to our children, to those that come after us. We don't want to propagate these same stories. So after the eclipse, we start the 9 nights of Navratri, which are the 9 nights of the Great Mother Goddess. Now, this is going to be super powerful. Why is that? Extra powerful. It's always powerful because it falls in between the solar eclipse on the 14th and then the lunar eclipse on the 28th. And we have 9 nights. And this is a grand celebration, a very good time to get together and hone in the energies to worship and venerate Goddess Durga. Now, why Goddess Durga? Because she's the Great Mother Goddess who was victorious. She had victory over the lower evil forces, demonic forces, asuric forces. Now, all this means, these forces, they're forces within all of us of greed, of anger, of desire, of lust, of jealousy, of envy, of anger, of all the lower energies that keep us stuck in a tamasic vibration and not elevate us to a higher vibration of peace, of joy, of compassion, of forgiveness, of working together. The lower vibrations are very egoic, and we all have these energies inside us, but we don't have to be run by them. The change starts with us. So each day the Mother Goddess appears in a different form and shows a different face of herself for 9 nights. And in the end, she is victorious in her Shakti, in her energy, in her sovereignty, in her integrity, and connected with the highest source of creation, of life, in slaying those lower qualities that we find within ourselves and we see out in the world. So let's get together. Let's thank the Mother Earth for holding us, for housing us, for caring about us. Let's bring in those energies of compassion, of safety, of forgiveness, of unconditional love, which can only come from the Mother herself. See, this Mother Goddess, this great avatar of Goddess Durga, was actually created by Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, or Shiva himself. The three great gods of the Trinity could not defeat the Asuras on their own. So they came together and they projected all of their Shakti, all of their energy into creating the great Mother Goddess who was finally able to, with all of that strength and power, overcome the lower forces that are existent everywhere in this dimension, in this world. So it is possible. We can make change. We can call in for more enlightened leadership. Now, right after this eclipse is done, I just want to add this here because I think it's quite important. Ketu is going to still be at 0 degrees of Virgo or 30 degrees of Libra, right there in that transition point. Right after this eclipse, obviously the moon is going to conjunct Ketu. So it's going to obscure our minds even more. The sun is already taking part in this eclipse. As it moves into the sign of Libra, it gets debilitated in Libra. It's also going to conjunct with Ketu. So our leadership is going to be obscured. It's going to be eclipsed. This is the time when we can really pull these energies together and make our voices heard for more enlightened leadership. People that really care about humanity and where we're headed. It is possible. We've seen it in the past with the likes of Nelson Mandela, of Martin Luther King Jr., of Mahatma Gandhi, who preached love and nonviolence and were able to free their people. So it is possible. Never forget. The next day after the sun moves on the 17th and on the 18th, Mercury is going to move in conjunct Ketu. So all of these significations of leadership, of mind, of emotional balance, of commerce, of communication are all going to be affected, okay? So it's something to keep in mind as well. I'll follow up with what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks with the lunar eclipse and the nodes changing signs. This 0 degree of where Ketu sits and this 0 degree Gandanta, which is the unfurling of karmic events, where Rahu sits, is very strong during these eclipses, because in the Navamsha, for those of you who know a little bit more about Vedic astrology, in the Navamsha, they are Vargotama. So they're extra, extra, extra strong and powerful. This is what makes this eclipse so strong. Now, in the next eclipse, there are going to be elements of deception, poison, lies, things like this. Jupiter is still going to be retrograde. When Jupiter is retrograde, we're not in our highest wisdom. We can get turned around. We cannot think clearly, especially when it's with Rahu. But I'll talk about that more in another video because I don't want this video to go on too long. If you have any questions about this eclipse, things that you can do during this eclipse are certain mantras. So I'll just end with the mantras. One of the most powerful mantras that you can chant is the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, which is the mantra which protects against death. It helps with health, but it also helps us to detach from these karmic bonds. And many of you have probably heard it and know it. It goes, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyam Amritat. This is the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. If you chant it during the eclipse, it is very powerful and healing. Then you can chant the Gayatri mantra for the sun, because the sun will be eclipsed, obviously. And it goes, Om Bhurбhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayata. So the Gayatri mantra can be chanted to bring more light into our lives. And lastly, the higher octave or the higher divine energy, which can help control Ketu, because Ketu is headless, is Lord Ganesha, because also Lord Ganesha lost his head. He can help clear the obstacles during this eclipse. Very simple mantra. Om Gam Ganapataye Namah. Om Gam Ganapataye Namah. Or Om Ganeshaya Namah. Om Ganeshaya Namah. These mantras, if they're chanted 108 times, one round of the mala beads or more, or during the duration of the eclipse in front of a light, either a ghee lamp or a candle or a havan kund, or, a duni of sorts where there's a sacred fire. If there's chanting done in front of this, it does help to protect and elevate our spirits and protect us and help us to elevate our consciousness and open our hearts and feel the guidance of the higher sattvic energies so that we can affect change in our worlds. It is time that we be that change. So in our everyday world, to forgive those that we are holding grudges, against, to help those that are in need, to love those that perhaps we've neglected, and make peace within ourselves so that the outer world can reflect that, and choose wisely who we are allowing to rise to power, because this eclipse is going to be 5 minutes long, and it's going to have a longer lasting effect on our lives moving forward. I would love to keep talking because there's so much more I'd like to share. I will definitely do another video for the lunar eclipse on the 28th. I will also talk about Navratri as it starts the next day after the eclipse. Please take advantage of these powerful energies that we have access to during these times. And as always, my friends, enjoy the life. I really appreciate your viewership. We are truly one. And I wish you all the best. We're one, and we're going to get through this. So please like, share, subscribe to my channel so it gets more circulation. It would help me greatly. I appreciate you all so much. Enjoy the life. Take care. And use these energies of the eclipse to your best. All right. See you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.